Welcome to Lunch with Leaders, the podcast where we explore what it truly takes to lead, thrive, and create lasting impact. I'm Adeze Iloje Udogalanya, a TEDx speaker, a leadership strategist, and the founder of African Women in STEM. While many episodes feature conversations with innovators, trailblazers, and leaders from around the world, today's episode is a solo reflection, a space for us to slow down and explore a leadership, visibility, or career insight together. These episodes are designed to help you learn, unlearn, and walk away with grounded perspective and practical takeaways you can apply in real life. So if you're ready to lead with intention, if you're ready to amplify your voice, and if you're ready to grow with clarity over time, you are in the right place. Let's get into today's episode. When was the last time that you were in a room with people who decide what is next for you in your career? Just think about that. And these people are the people that we like to call decision makers. The ones who decide who gets tapped for stretch assignments, who gets considered for the VP role, or the director role, or some executive leadership role. The people who decide who gets invited to the table. Now, do you know what these decision makers think of you? Not what you hope that they think of you. Do you know what they think of you? Not what you think they should think, right? Based on your track record, or based on your results, or based on everything that you've delivered. Do you know what they actually think of you? You, this individual that works in this company that's probably worked there for a couple of years. Because here's what I've learned from my own experience navigating the workplace for over 2 decades. There's a version of you that exists in the minds of the people that are decision makers, the people that are above you, the people that choose to promote you or not to. There's a picture that they have about you. There's a story that has been built about you. And they have a set of assumptions about who you are, what you're ready for, and where you belong. An interesting thing is that the one that is living in their heads, is almost always not accurate, especially for women of color, and most especially for Black women. The narrative they have about you is almost always incomplete because it's typically shaped by opinions, not facts. It's filtered through a system that is biased and not designed to see you clearly for who you truly are, or what values that you bring to the organization, or what you bring to the table. And this is costing you a lot. It's costing you your next role, it's costing you promotion, it's costing you a raise, it's costing you opportunities. But more importantly, it's costing you peace of mind, your health, and your wellness. In many cases, there is a gap between your actual identity and your perceived identity inside the organizations that you find yourselves in or you work in. And when you let other people's incomplete picture of you drive decisions about your future, what you're doing is that you're accepting that gap. Passively, unconsciously maybe, but you're still accepting it. And the reality and the brutal truth about how organizations work is that once you're categorized, once there's this story about who you are, untrue or incomplete as it may be, if that story is out there and is written and is living in the minds of all these decision makers, it was going to take a deliberate and sustained and strategic effort to change it. You know why? Because as human beings, we always want the easy way. We always say no, we like hard things, but the reality is that we want the easy way. Which means that it's easier to rely on the story that's already there rather than looking for evidence or look for evidence that contradicts it. It's not their job. They don't want to look for evidence that contradicts the story that they feel they already know. So what this means is that if you're waiting for other people on their own to take the initiative to update the narrative that they have about you, you might be waiting for a very, very, very long time. And interestingly enough, like for a lot of women, we have to survive. We have to prove ourselves. So more likely than not, we're hard workers. We work harder than everybody else. We show up more than everybody else. We're 10 times better just to prove that we belong there. And what this does, even though it's well, you're supposed to work 10 times better to prove that you have as good, but it doesn't necessarily work in our favor because what it does is that it kind of places us as that person that is there, that is this reliable, hardworking, worker bee, problem solver that we should all go to when there are issues, the person that puts out all the fires. And what it does for our careers is that it just makes our career stall. That's why a lot of women in STEM, by the time they get to mid career and trying to step into leadership, it's always very difficult. Because think about it, why would they move you to a leadership position, to a higher position, and pay you more, where they can get you to do all the work where you are? You're already doing it. So think about this. I remember earlier in my career, I was a problem solver and it made me so proud. It was almost like any problems that the company couldn't solve for 7, 8, 9 years, I solved them. Anytime there was a fire, I was the one that was called on to put it out. If there's something going on somewhere, they don't know who to send, they send me. And at that time, it was very fulfilling in a sense. And I was like, I could do this, I could do this, I could literally solve any problem. But it really isn't a good thing because then again, I now started realizing that what happened is there's something they say in my like I'm Nigerian, so they say monkey they walk, baboon they chop. So what it means is that you're there doing all the hard work and somebody else is there reaping all the benefits of your hard work. And that's exactly what started happening to me. And if you're a woman is still listening to this right now, you're probably experiencing the same things. So the reality is that the story they have about you doesn't necessarily have to be wrong. But the thing you have to ask yourself is that the story that you want them to have about you? Do you want to be the worker bee? Do you want to be the problem solver? Do you want to be the one that sits there and takes care of everything and it's never moved from there because there's so much value in you being there and taking on all that work and responsibility without the authority or the pay to go with that? So the most important thing here that I want you to pull out of this is that more than your track record, more than how you show up and do the work, one thing that should matter more than that is the story that you tell, you create, that you curate, and that these people that make these decisions have about you. There's a Yale 2025 study that found out that women, even though they're consistently rated as strong performers, they're also underestimated for leadership potential. So our hard work, our strong performance actually works against us. It doesn't work in our favor. So that means that as a woman in STEM, as a leader in your organization, you're there delivering, but the organization does not picture you as a leader that you really are. And this research supports the fact that working harder is not going to move your career forward the way that you think it will. So this only supports the fact that working harder is not going to move your career forward the way that you think that it will. So what is impactful for you as a woman in STEM, where you want to step into those leadership titles, is that you have to own your own story. You have to be strategic about changing the narrative that they have about you at work, about what you're good for, about what you should or shouldn't have. There's a Gallup study that also adds a layer to this that may make this a bit more urgent for you. So women are more engaged, more committed, more motivated than their male counterparts right now, but they're still burning out faster and advancing slower. As long as the wrong story sits unchallenged in the minds of decision makers, it's going to be harder and harder for it to be replaced with the accurate one. And what's going to happen is that you're going to work more because we've been told that hard work gets us where we're going to go. But the more you work, the less you get. And you burn out faster, and guess what? You advance slower. This is research. I didn't make this up. There's this story that I heard that there's this lady that in companies that decide, oh, we don't have enough money, we need to lay people off, and so on and so forth. So they decided to lay her off because nobody knew what she was doing. And then they had to hire her shortly after because and pay her 3 times more than we were paying her before as a consultant because they realized that they couldn't proceed with a very important program that they had at work without her. And every day they delayed, it was costing them millions of dollars. So you would think that something that critical in the workplace, that it should be aware of who is in a position to make sure that everything goes according to plan, but they don't. They weren't aware of it because a lot of times the people that are in these critical positions that work as hard are hidden from the decision makers. So this is going to tell you that if you're expecting that people are going to know everything about you and how you add value to organization or to the organization that you're in, it's probably not going to happen. You have to be strategic. You have to own your own narrative. You have to control your story, who you are, your capability, your potential, how you add value to organization, and how you impact business outcomes. All of this should be clear. Walk into rooms and make sure the impression you leave is an accurate one. Speak up when you have the opportunity to update the narrative others have about you. Be visible. Position yourself so that your leadership potential is obvious. And make certain that the right people have the full, accurate picture of who you are and how you impact the business and the bottom line. And before you start defaulting to some of the things that you've been told or are being told about all of this is not self promotion. All of this is an expression of your leadership. So, I'm not going to let you go without giving you the one thing that you're going to do this week. So, the one thing this week is I want you to identify one decision maker in your organization, or if you like extra credit, you can identify two or three, and ask yourself, what do they know about you? What story are they telling about you? Are they even telling any story about you? What would you like them to say if someone asks about you? Do this exercise and let the information you get from this inform your next move. As women in STEM, as leaders, we should be setting the direction. We cannot afford to be passive and let things happen to us. And as they say, let the chips fall as they may. You may not be held back by who you are, but you're likely to be held back by who people think you are. The women I work with in my coaching practice, when they finally make the move, they get the role, the title, the recognition that they've been working so hard for, they almost always say the same thing. I didn't change who I was. I just changed how I was being seen. But you can't change something if you don't say it. You can't change something if you don't know it. And as I always say, awareness is the foundation for success. So that's exactly why I developed the Leadership Edge Diagnostic. It's a precise look at how you're showing up across 5 dimensions to determine how you're being evaluated by others in this category. So, authority, influence, visibility, relationship, and resilience. And the diagnostic will show you exactly where the gaps are and how you're being from between how you're seen and how you want to be seen. So, this diagnostic is free and it might take your best 5 minutes. And it's probably going to be the best 5 minutes you spend this week. So the link is in the show notes. Link the africanwomeninstem.com/leadership. So until next time, remember, you're not being held back by who you are, but you might be held back by who others think you are. And now you know, go do something about it. Bye.